Is everyone ready? Buttons for General Washington. It's a pretty long book, so I'm not going to, how I talk a lot when I'm reading? I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to read it. Are any soldiers in the street, John? His mother asked. Only the guard at General Howe's headquarters, John answered. That's the British general in the American Revolution. Remember, John, keep away from the British soldiers, his mother said, and go the way I told thee. But I know a faster way, John said. Do as thy mother asks, his father said. She has sent messages to General Washington before. See, notice how the language is different? They're using words like thy. John nodded his head. He wished that his mother would finish sewing the new buttons on his coat. He was nervous and in a hurry to be on his way to General Washington's camp. Here, John, his mother said at last. The new buttons look just like the old ones. John took his coat. He ran his fingers over the cloth-covered buttons. He could not feel the small holes inside the buttons. Secret messages for General Washington were hidden in those holes. Yes, there were spies in the American Revolution, and it would be important, it would be very dangerous that they not get caught. If I am caught, will anyone be able to read the messages? John asked. No, answered his father. I wrote them in a code that only thy brother Charles can read. I wish I could give the buttons to General Washington himself, John said. Maybe someday thee will, his mother said. And this is considered Old English. Some of the words are a little different. John carefully buttoned his coat. Be careful, his father warned. The British are looking for American spies. So this can be dangerous. He needs to be very careful. Let me see. I have a friend who's having trouble coming in. Let me admit her again. If they catch thee, it means prison or worse, his mother said. A shiver ran down John's back. So prison is jail. He knew the captured spies were lucky to end up in prison. Usually they were hanged. I will be careful, John said. Here is thy pass to leave Philadelphia, his mother said. Thou needs it to get past the British guards. John put the pass in his pocket. His hand shook as he touched the buttons for good luck. We will wait supper for thee, his mother said. Godspeed, John, his father said. So they're basically saying, we'll keep supper warm for you. John walked up 2nd Street. He turned on Market Street. British soldiers were everywhere. John wished they would all go back to England. John walked slower as he neared the guard post at the edge of town. This seems like this is maybe... this could either be Philadelphia, Boston, or New York, which were all major cities that the British occupied. Hey, Yankee Doodle, he heard a voice call from behind him. John turned quickly. It was Samuel Baker. Samuel's family liked the British soldiers. They wanted the British to win the war. The Bakers and they were called Tories, people who supported the British were called Tories, wanted America to be part of England again. John hated Samuel even more than he hated the British soldiers. And that's a word I'm using in this book. We don't use that word like when we're talking about other people. But it's pretty strong, this is it's a war going on, and he's using some strong words about how he feels about people. Did you see all of our new soldiers? Samuel asked. You Americans can never win now. General Howe will whip Washington before Christmas. He will not, John said fiercely. Oh, yes, he will, Samuel said. We British are too strong for you. John stepped up to Samuel. Just thee wait and see who wins the war, John said angrily. When we win, thee can return to England where thou belongs. Thee and thou? So it's kind of like you, when we win, we can return to England where we belong. I think that's what they're saying. Who is going to make me, Samuel said, poking John. Me, John yelled. So these boys are getting into an argument because one of their parents supports the British and the other one supports the colonists, or the Americans. Before John can move, Samuel hit him hard in the stomach. John fell down. See, Samuel said, we will win. Samuel walked away proudly. Brushing off his coat, John stood up. He wished he could hit Samuel back, even though he knew he should not fight. And fighting is never the answer. It's never, never the answer. Besides, he knew it was more important to reach General Washington's camp. John stopped at the guard post. A red-coated British soldier took his pass. He looked at it for a long time. John began to worry. You're going to your aunt's house? The soldier asked. Yes, answered John. I must check each pass carefully, the soldier said. There are many American spies. You are not a spy, are you? The soldier asked with a smile. Oh, no, sir, John answered quickly. Off with you then, said the soldier. Just remember, we hang any spies we catch. So spies would be people who are like passing secret information from one place to another. And there were a lot of spies during the American Revolution, but it was very dangerous. If you got caught, you would be in big trouble. Well, that won't catch me, John thought as he put the pass back in his pocket. John knew he should not be too sure of himself, though, so he kept a sharp lookout for more British soldiers. They might guess that he was a spy if they found him past his aunt's house. They might even find the secret messages. And there's all kinds of ways they did secret messages. One of the ways is they wrote on eggs in like almost like when you on Easter when you dye an egg, where you put like wax on an egg, and then you dip the egg in something like food coloring, and then the message shows up. They would do all kinds of stuff like writing stuff on eggs. They had all these secret ways of hiding messages. John stopped suddenly. He heard horses coming. He jumped over a ditch and hid behind a tree. 5 British soldiers came along the road. They passed slowly. They were looking for someone. This could be trouble. John waited until the soldiers had ridden away. He touched his buttons for good luck. A button was missing. John looked all over the ground. He could not find the button anywhere. Then he remembered Samuel Baker's blow. The button must have come off near the guardhouse. John started to run back down the road toward Philadelphia. Oh, it is Philadelphia. Okay, Philadelphia was the capital of the colonies. Now it's Washington, D.C. Back then, at this time, it was Philadelphia. His breath came in short gasps. He had to find that button. He stopped near the guard post. He looked all around for the button. Are you back so soon? John jumped in surprise. The British guard walked toward him. I lost one of my buttons, John said. My mother would not be happy if I could not find it. The soldier held out his hand. He had John's button. I found it where you boys were fighting, the soldier said. John tried to keep his hands from shaking as he took the button. He hoped the soldier had not found the message. Thank thee for finding my button, John said, backing away. On your way, then, said the soldier. Ooh, that was a close call. John put the button deep in his pocket. He looked at the sky. It was past noon. Against his mother's warning, he looked at a shortcut through the woods toward General Washington's camp. John stopped for a rest after an hour. He took a long drink from an icy stream. Suddenly, a hand grabbed him from behind as he stood up. What might ye be doing in these woods? Asked a gruff voice. John was spun around. Before he could answer, he faced a bearded man. The man had grabbed him. John said his first words that came to him. I was hunting. Hunting without a gun? The man asked. I was going to my aunt's house, John said. I will take you with me to find out the truth, the man said sharply. Now march, he ordered. John knew that the man would grab him if he tried to run. They walked through the woods for a long time. John was hungry and tired. He was scared too. Where was the man taking him? What would John do if they were going to a British camp? At last they came to an open field. A large white tent stood in one corner. Soldiers in blue uniforms were marching in the field. It was an American camp. John breathed a sigh of relief. Once he talked to Charles, everything would be all right. We will have the truth from you now, the man told John. So you could see all the British soldiers wore blue. The British soldiers wore red, and the American soldiers wore blue. He took John to the white tent. I have a spy here, the man told a soldier guarding the tent. I caught him prowling in the woods near Philadelphia. The soldier stepped into the tent. He was back within a moment. Bring him in. The bearded man pushed John into the tent. Sit down, son, said a tall man in a blue uniform. Does anybody have... Just look at the picture. Just look at the picture and think about who that might be. John sat in a wooden chair. They tell me you are a spy, the man said. You are young for a spy. Whose side do you spy for? General Washington's side, John said. I am John Darrah. John Darrah is my brother. Charles Darrah is my brother. He helps General Washington. Can I see Charles now? The man turned to the soldier. Send Charles Darragh to me at once. John sat stiffly in front of the uniformed man. It seemed like a year before Charles arrived. Why, John, Charles said in surprise. John smiled. Now he could prove that he spied for Washington. Mother sent me. I have some messages for General Washington. John took the loose button from his pocket. There is a message in Father's coat hidden inside. Charles uncovered the button. He took out the message and looked at it. Please decode the message right away. Okay, decoding means take the message, use our system of code, like whatever it is, to hide the message and go tell us what the message really says. Don't, Charles, said John. Only General Washington is supposed to know. So the boy is saying this message is only for General Washington, so he doesn't want anybody else to see it. Charles laughed at his brother. John, this is General Washington. General Washington held out his hand. John shook it. It is an honor to shake the hand of so brave a patriot, the general said. Thank thee, sir, John said. Charles, said the general, please report to me after you have decoded the messages. General Washington left the tent. And it's my understanding that all of you met General Washington as well, so you know what a thrill it is to meet General George Washington. Charles began cutting the buttons off John's coat. John could not believe that he had met General Washington. Washington's words of praise still filled John's ears. After removing the messages, Charles sewed the buttons back on John's coat. Now be careful on the way home, Charles said. We need thee to bring more buttons. John touched the buttons for good luck. Then he laughed as he put on his coat. I will bring enough buttons for General Washington's whole army. And that's it for that book. And let me go ahead and read the back of this, and I'm just going to stop this recording before I forget.